Are you? Okay. Okay. Ryan. Okay. All right. We will get started. Welcome to the Providence City Administrative Land Use Authority meeting. Today is Wednesday, August 10th at 2:30. We're in the Providence City Office Building at 164 North Gateway Drive. Members present, we have Rob Stapley and Max Pierce, and I'm Scarlett Bankhead. We also have our city manager, Ryan Snow, and our city recorder, Ty Cameron. And we have our stormwater and code compliance, Colton Love, who's new to our team, so welcome to Colton. And then we have Diane Campbell, our zoning office specialist. We have one item on our agenda today, no, two items actually. The Administrative Land Use Authority will consider for approval the minutes from July 7th, 2022. I have just a couple of things, Ty. On page 68, on line 68, it says the road width, it says the right of way will be 80 feet, I think, and then it says the road width will be 59 feet. Probably we should change that to the asphalt width so that people don't get confused. And then my other one is actually in the motion, and we actually might have said final plat, and if so, I have to apologize because it's on line 94. We approved commercial site plans. It's the planning commission that approves plans. We don't get to approve plans. So
the commercial site plans.
Yeah, and it's site SIT. So they were the only two things that I found. Does anybody else have any corrections? Okay, then I would entertain a motion to approve with those corrections.
I'll make that motion. I'll second it.
Motion by Max Pierce, second by Rob Stapley. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. So those minutes are approved with those corrections. Our next item of business, the Providence City Administrative Land Use Authority will consider for approval a request by David Clyde with Next Meters, for a Next Century office building located at 73 South Gateway Drive in Providence. And we have two representatives. Will you guys, for the record, introduce yourselves, please?
Yes, I'm Matt Clyde with Next Century with Next Meters, the company that occupied that building,
Okay.
as well as the group of the building.
Thank you.
Christian Wilson, the architect from Center Street Architects.
Thanks, Christian. Diane, do you want to give us just a brief summary?
So this application was received April 29th. We had a pre-application meeting. Aaron Walker sent his review letter on May 6th. We do have, I didn't write it on yours, but we do have an updated rendering that was submitted May 8th. The following Providence City Code. Findings of fact, the Providence City Code lists regulations and requirements to be considered are in 10.8.5 commercial zone districts, and we use the official zoning map revised March 2021. Conclusions of the law are exactly the same as our last meeting. Conditions, the applicant will continue to meet all relevant federal, state, county, and province rules, laws, codes, and ordinances. And two, the approval by the city of any application or paperwork submitted does not alleviate the owners and or their agents from their responsibility to understand and conform to local, state, and federal laws. Providence City's approval is not intended to and cannot be construed to allow any laws to be violated. And the rendering that was submitted on May 18th, that is the one that was approved by the final committee.
This was in the packet though, right?
Yeah.
So Did you get a copy of our packet? Do you have any questions about or concerns?
Yeah, I got.
Oh, it's actually, there's a link in that that brings up where it says exhibit. That'll bring it up. Just quickly, we had reviewed this and realized that the site being proposed was just a little bit different than the site plan that had been approved. In a mixed-use development, they go before the planning commission for approval, and then administrative land use, we see the individual site plans just to make sure that they're following what the planning commission approved. And we found a bit of a discrepancy that had to do with how the developer was proposing the landscaping. So our group didn't have the authority to make a change, and we sent them back to planning commission. They went to the planning commission on May 25th and discussed asking to look at the way their landscaping was drawn and make a slight change to the approved site plan, which the which the planning commission did. There was a motion to approve the Providence City Center amended site plan for Lot 4 with the accompanying staff report, which included the findings of fact, the conclusions of law and conditions, with good cause having been shown, discussed, and approved during the Planning Commission meeting of May 25th. Tyler Riggs made that motion, Robert Perry seconded it, and the vote was Robert Perry, Brian Marber, Michael Fortune, Tyler Riggs, and Joe Chambers all voted in favor of that. And we, in our meeting, had continued it since we couldn't make a change. And so now it's back to us to finish up our review of the site plan. So gentlemen, they've been approved to have the landscaping as shown without having that 5 feet all the way around.
Can I ask a quick question related to that landscape plan? Actually, the whole set. There are changes from this exhibit that's in here from what we were given a month or so ago. April 27th.
Yes. The building is narrower and there is a larger landscape buffer on. But it meets what the zoning people request.
I mean, is that the exhibit that we probably got that you didn't notice to open? Probably. 'Cause I'm just looking for variation. I've got the old one and the new one in front of me.
It's not a whole lot, you can't compare it.
I wasn't there.
But it's just, in reality, it's like this, but it's. You probably can't perform most of them.
That's the only change. Then. I guess that would be my other comment, which I think I missed the land use meeting. The last one that we had with your development. Scarlett had some notes for me to recite. And those were kind of related to the egress and access points and water and sewer, which is kind of a tangent more construction drawing related, but sometimes maybe not. So it's a good discussion to have. And both of these plans and both of those comments that we had last time are the same. And that's
I do know that civil engineers been contacting me. We're missing. We do have the construction documents to the county, and we will be probably receiving them.
So I think one of the concerns that, just to refresh the meeting, was that access point that comes out on 100 South. We need to make sure that that's far enough away from the intersection. And Max, I can't remember, did we, because I remember we talked about that. Did you feel like it was?
Well, as far as
That concern, yeah, I was gonna say, as far as it could be with that layout, but that was a concern that came up way back in the early conceptual stages of the with the preliminary plat in the subdivision. I don't know what the planning commission decided, but that was one of my comments way back in the subdivision space. Or preliminary plat of the subdivision, when I got that up.
Right. So it's past the site, it's west of where the crosswalk is. It's west of the western part of the island. So it wouldn't be interfering with that portion of the roundabout. Is it in a merge lane or anything? Do we have to worry? No,
My
because
concern
it's
was
the
more-
single lane.
Kind of an Aaron Walker comment, when it seemed like the preliminary plat of the city center had asphalt and egress potentially through Macy's or City Center Townhomes or one of these other two commercial businesses access. But where this is the first one to come, it gives it that only that single access, because it doesn't connect here. But
Right.
we had an understanding, I thought, with City Center and AmSource, there was going to be connectivity to that. So maybe it's a timing thing, and maybe it's not that crucial. If it's not that crucial for fire and EMS or something other, then wait the other commercial entities to arrive and do their thing, maybe connectivity will eventually happen, and maybe that's sufficient. But I just got the impression from City Center that this was all going to occur. Connectivity through there.
At once, instead of as the
Right.
pad developed.
Right, the City Center was coming all the way over here to accommodate these other three commercial paths.
Yeah, the other thing that was discussed back, some time ago was that access, if it was allowed to go there, that it might only be a right out access, no left out, because of the conflict turning points and stuff there at the roundabout. But I don't think, I don't think it lines up with one to the south side of the street that goes into the Civil Solutions site. But it doesn't show it on the site plan. It doesn't show the one on the south side of the street, so I don't know for sure. Christian, if it lines up with that.
I don't know, Civil Solutions Group, so I don't know.
I believe it's further.
I'm sure they would try to, if they could. Civil Solutions.
Yeah,
But they can't go on somebody else's property.
Well, no, but again, and I hate to go clear back to that, but in the preliminary plat phase of the subdivision, we talked to them about, trying to get joint access into the Tractor Supply. And I don't think that ever happened. I'm not sure anybody ever approached them, but I don't know either. I didn't. Did any of that get talked about in the planning commission meeting on the preliminary plat of the subdivision?
I don't think so.
So, yeah, it sounds like it wasn't a concern to the planning commission.
And offset approaches across from each other on a busy area.
But yeah, there's,
You have to think about those crash course maneuvers. It might be a conflict there.
exactly, especially if it's not lined up with one across the street, then you get conflicting movement pretty easily then.
It might still be that right in and out only. And then I would think that
That's
Prefer
easy,
that.
you just put the sign. Well,
the other alternative kind of that is to have a safer, easier thing that people realize because of the roundabout factor. If there's another connectivity to jump onto Gateway Drive further north, maybe that will be an issue. Alternative way to head north on Gateway Drive.
Well, there is the entrance just directly north. It doesn't take much to come off from, Ryan, pull up their site plan there, but they do show this going as far north as that existing entrance onto Gateway Drive. It's just not connected. So they're just direct.
It would be a matter of
Right.
taking the asphalt up the north side of the proposed future building lot 3,
Yeah, right there.
which is yours as well, isn't it, Matt?
So again, this gets back to the phasing of this project. has always been a little bit concerning to me how it was proposed to phase it, but yeah, it would be nice to be able to get that access to go on out to Gateway Drive and make that connectivity happen there so that this entire project here does not have to access on one only.
Correct me if I'm wrong, that, but aren't you planning on doing, red lot number 3 for this?
Yeah, that lot 3, and we purchased lot number 2 as well, and it comes up in the air on what we're gonna do with that one. It might be a building similar size to the one on 4, placed, you know, on lot 3 and 2 together, and slightly smaller building like you see here.
Oh, that won't work.
That will work.
No, because you have to preserve that access. So sometimes we can accommodate those combination of lots. But in this case, where this development was approved with that access, I don't think we can. I mean, that's not necessarily for this body to say. It absolutely won't. But it's not something that we would recommend because of the importance of that access for the fire, just for the overall flow of the development.
Through. That's why they're going straight through past Macy's there,
Yeah.
or you can do past Macy's there. Okay. Well, what needs to be decided for sure here is for this lot 4 in this building?
It looks like there's utilities that are already installed there. Is that right?
We can kind of change course a little bit and circle back to this because the utilities are kind of related. In that the city center plan that Ryan just had pulled up, they amended that and they did the utilities, water and sewer in particular along Gateway Drive. Just barely west of that sidewalk on the west side of Gateway Drive there. Water and sewer stubbed all the way to building lot 4. So there's no need to cut asphalt first out.
So what about this storm drain, Rob, that would be under that road? Is that installed?
That already exists, yeah.
Yeah,
The land drain.
land drain. Yeah, right. So to extend that asphalt, that's all they would need to do is extend the asphalt from the proposed location to,
And I actually brought the amended plan and you guys are welcome to have this sheet. Have some solution to draw up when you make the changes. Red line changes. And show water and sewer stuff where you'll be running to them. Just dug a little bit south of that building lot 3 on the sidewalk.
and this is an existing cut, right? This is the existing road cut.
Correct, yeah. And I think they were gonna change that a little bit as far as shift like 4 feet.
To the north.
But it was generally in that same location.
Yeah, if you need, we can have, and so, yes, but you don't. You don't see those properties, so.
Yeah, this is lot 2, we just purchased it. Okay.
I guess, you know, we can extend it to already owns.
So I don't know that you need to do much extending other than you'll just do your services to those points. You'll need to do a water meter onto that water main.
No,
Following-
we're talking about extending the road, the driveway access.
The access is.
Because yes, they'd have to pull their services off of the line that you just showed them where it is. But extending this to Gateway Drive.
Accommodate being able to go north on Gateway without having to go right turn only to the highway only.
Yeah, and I know they are talking about shortly moving on the next building, so I mean, it's probably going to be planned and presented before that's even done. It's just, we're just trying to check off box 1 first before we go to box 2.
I guess that's my thought is that's part of checking off this lot 4's approval is to get it.
But we don't have a design for it yet, is the only thing. We haven't designed that building.
Yeah, I understand. Well, the building doesn't have to be designed to get the driveway to work, I guess is my thought. I mean, the
Well,
driveway's gotta,
you can draw a temporary one, because you don't know how it's gonna work through that.
it was shown that way on the preliminary plat, and I recognize you're a new landowner, but I'm just saying, is it possible? I mean, we know the driveway's gotta, well, again, Scarlett, like Scarlett said, we don't have the authority to mandate it in this, but yeah, it makes
Let us
sense
say
for
if
that
we-
driveway to be there.
We can draw it, it's probably not gonna be that way. We haven't figured out the building.
I'm suggesting the driveway might dictate where the building goes, is what I'm suggesting, but,
We don't like to do that, but we'll figure it out.
Well,
but the driveway was stubbed there. My
I know,
point is
but-
it was stubbed there
okay.
for the property.
We'll do
That's,
whatever you want.
that's what I'm saying. And so from the city's perspective, at least from my perspective as city engineer, I would like to see the driveway stay where it is. And that, because it was been planned there all along and it was shown that way on the preliminary plat, kind of perpetuating. So that's what I'm saying is I'd like to see that driveway there and then to build
On the
it.
other piece of property.
It's on lot 3, yes.
Yeah, but that's not, it doesn't, it's lot 4, but we can put on.
Right, but you are showing improvements on lot 3 as well, some. And he owns lot 3.
Lot 4.
These improvements extend over the property line on lot 3.
No, no.
Pull up that sheet, Ryan. It's sheet,
the way the solid lines are, the
C101.
asphalt actually extends.
Yeah,
I don't know.
C101 right there. That shows
5,
it going
10
over the
feet.
property line.
Well, yeah, but that's just, we can get a car driving down, but we're not.
Well, and I guess what my thought is it would have to do that in order to get the traffic to work, right? I mean, like you
Well,
said,
so-
Christian, it's gotta have the room.
This is the next one here, right? And you're talking about the road going down through here?
No, I'm talking about going directly down. There you
Down
go.
here?
Yeah.
That's the way.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's gonna come down here and we can show some asphalt down there if you'd like. But again, we don't know exactly what, I mean, there could be, parking here. And so if we draw this, give me a second, if we draw a curve, I don't know how this is all gonna play out. I don't know.
You see the curb cut on that?
Yeah,
Right,
we
directly.
can extend it.
There you go.
All I'm saying is I don't know if that's exactly how it's gonna be.
That curb cut that's already on Gateway Drive is what we were talking about. That's what Rob was alluding to earlier, that really can't move. And if it's gonna move, it's only gonna, they proposed on one plan a long time ago to move it about 3 feet more. But that curb cut right there is what we're suggesting has to kind of stay where it is. So there will be a driveway there somehow connecting that.
Yeah, and we might move it, I mean, since they own the other building, I mean, they could even do, a lot adjustment too, we'd have to go back to the planning commission and everything. We just don't know what we're doing there yet, is all I'm saying.
Well, part of the problem we're up against, Christian, with changing the phases in the middle, and they're not officially changed yet. We just about have to put this on hold because that whole plan was approved with this access that comes straight in through to the AmSource development. That was pretty critical access.
Yeah.
And so, in fact, that was kind of the key access. And then they worked both directions from that. Because the whole point is that people be able to drive through.
Yeah, I'm saying I'll show up and do it. I'm just not sure in a year from now, if that's exactly what we're doing, you know what I'm saying? And we'll come back before you. We just don't know right now. And we'll show it. But we will go back to the steps if we need to change it.
So construction drawings have to require having that asphalt laid.
And we can do it.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's what I'm suggesting would be part of the construction of this lot 4 improvements.
And we'll do that. We'll show it and we'll proceed that way, but just be aware. It may change. And we may ask again. if it's changed.
So change in a way that would still have that access
Yes.
road,
Oh, yeah.
but it
Oh,
might
yeah.
have to
You know,
move a little.
Yeah. It's still,
You're thinking,
we just don't know what we're doing yet. So over there, but we will show it and we will make sure there is an access. If we don't proceed forward in, a year. we'll make sure there is an access, but I'm just being, I'm trying to be forthcoming with you guys, letting you know it may change a little bit, but still meet your requirements. Because we'll still have to come back through here.
Yeah, my concern is to be forthcoming with you. I don't know, it's like the thought that you could combine these two lots. That wouldn't work to combine those two lots because of the crucial part of that access.
I know, we just,
So
we'll just do whatever you want. I'm just trying to.
I get where you're coming from. I just don't know if we have quite the flexibility right there
Just,
that you're hoping for.
okay, just tell us what you want. We'll do.
Okay, all right. So am I hearing that you want to require that the access is improved from the north end of their parking lot to east to Gateway Drive? Is that what I'm hearing?
That makes the most sense to me for safety and user-friendly factors.
And then we've talked about the utility change. We've made them aware of the utility change. That's the only thing you had to do on that, right?
But I just wanted to make sure everybody knew we didn't have to chop up the islands, roundabout asphalt. That's a huge plus that we don't gotta go out there. Let's not go out there.
Max, is there anything else?
Well, I still wonder about the access on the.
The right in and the right out.
Right, or how does it line up with the access across the road? You remember this started, I hate to point here, but you remember the layout that had this parking gone right here and the driveway was over here? I think that was an attempt to get it to line up. What was that, Samantha? What is it?
Yeah, and it's still there, even on this one, it's still there. That's what I wanted to sort of. So, Right.
There was a swung over, so I think it was lined up. Excuse me, the driveway across the street.
let me see if I can pull up the.
And I don't know if there's any wiggle room for parking on this at all. Is there extra parking at all? Is that image on the county's website, Ryan? Does it show the driveway on the south side of 100?
That's what I was trying to zoom in on Google Earth, version of Google Earth.
Yeah, that driveway, does it show up there? And it doesn't look like that image is new enough to show it. So I don't know if that was a drawing that Christian, you ever drew or if someone else drew it, but at one time, this driveway coming out on 100 South was pushed right over against the west property line. There was a little bit of parking removed there and it swung right over against the west property line.
I don't use simple drawings, so we'll do.
Off the top, Max, do you see a problem? Slide that over and create the same situation.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think we can't tell because we don't have an image anywhere that shows us where that driveway is. On the
But
south
if
side
they
of
did
the road.
line up, would that make you feel a whole lot better about that turn, the roundabout?
Yeah, I mean, it would definitely eliminate the conflict points of the driveways being offset.
If you would have no, you wouldn't have no parking. Can we do a right out only?
Yes. This is a drain.
We could definitely do that. I just see a lot of people don't. weigh that factor. I mean, we've got it right down here by Chase Bank, we've got it here by Utah Bank. We've got those right out only, and I see them violated constantly. And so if we can get away from having to have that and make a safer world without people that are gonna abuse the signs, that's the way we should lead it.
I don't think they can go far enough west without it. No, but it's not very far from this. And they can't go over onto
Right.
Tractor Supply.
That's what I
So-
don't know, if it's against this property line, why not put that driveway up? is what I'm thinking. But I don't know.
Probably not square on. I'd have to pull up their, find their site plan. And you go, Providence City Center, or not Providence City Center, what's it called, the corner? Yeah. No,
Look at-
corner commercial, their site plan. So you guys actually, oh, that's all part of. Not a separate line. Never mind. The lines just had to adjust for the screen.
How up to date is your Google Earth on your laptop or this one? Rock, the phone is outdated and nothing, it doesn't show civil solutions. Doesn't even show. Or,
I know, yeah. The,
I know I've seen.
Site plan.
Can't adjust the history. Hard to tell about. People on scale, but it's like Max is right. It wouldn't take far to go that way to have them. Whether it's farther than the property line and how to remedy the parking situation.
Yeah, so that doesn't show the driveway that one does, so it's,
but it's not shown.
and the one we're looking at comes in about where this taper happens right here, so. It does look like it would take at least parking stalls are 20 feet, so if it's over 20 feet further, again, I don't have a scale on that, but. It comes in about right where that taper starts, so. Here. So it looks like it would be really close. It may not be perfect, but it'd be better. The concern I have is if these people, if you've got people turning right out of here and somebody coming left out of here, they're really looking for traffic coming from the left, but it's turning right and that's conflict. So kind of offset the maybe in the worst direction.
Not a middle medium,
Right.
until you get to the west.
So that's the conflict point that you end up having, and then the problem is it's compounded because it's really close to the roundabout, so. But those are, like I said, those are things that I brought up in the preliminary plat, stage of this development, and I don't know that it ever got. I don't know what the planning commission would have said about it.
Well,
In fact, my official recommendation was that there's no access allowed in 100, that they have to tie into the, if they want to get access, they have to joint access to traffic supply, is what my comment actually said.
so if they do away with this access, do they still have, and they only have this for flow, they still gonna meet fire stuff?
They could, and that's really.
I don't know what
Walker's.
kind of say. I mean, they probably fight the fire from the road, and they, for the most part. I don't know about Aaron, what Aaron would say about that.
Because Aaron's report in here talked about having to have an additional fire hydrant. Fire line footing for this section.
He was worried about the second access to the north. He didn't want to go in and back out. So then your comment about wanting the access up the north is. And you're gonna plan on doing it for another phase, we'll do it now. That was his only thing. He'll be-
Well, I know there's a hydrant right there on the side of the road, Gateway Drive on that side of the road, so it should be all right. Okay. Size of building and all that kind of stuff comes into the fire marshal's equation, so. So, that's what.
He uses about the second access. If you guys were here.
His letter in the exhibit.
But you're talking about Aaron's.
But my printer did say that it was having trouble printing and it didn't print, it printed part of the packet and then it printed part of the packet again and it didn't hit all of it. So
Be the end.
It's not gonna be here, that's over.
unless you put it in towards the end. Don't keep going down.
Yeah, really good.
This is for the fire department access from Gateway Drive 100 South and through the parking lot should be adequate as submitted.
Yeah, he said he wanted
Maybe.
a turnaround or to get out.
Until the parking lot is completed.
So everything, that he just wanted to turn around, basically, he had problems getting the land out.
But honestly, by the time you were to build him a temporary turnaround, you might as well build the road.
Yeah, and we're planning on, they're moving pretty fast, so.
Okay, all right. I don't know exactly what would do, Max, if the planning commission approved the design with that access.
Yeah.
I think we have to, now we can make it a right in, right out, and yes, I know people don't obey the rule.
And I think that's, if you paint it on the ground and you put a no parking, no right turn sign of some sort. The majority of people would want it, so. fresh. Probably done, so. Get the access arm so people can go north from your business. You can go north without hitting the highway, that's gonna be the key factor there, you know, let people go north. Safe way without having. conflicting.
So am I hearing that we will accept the changes, that this new plan, the plan that they're showing includes the changes that were allowed by the planning commission. And then we're adding the condition that the access from the north end of the parking lot to the east to Gateway Drive be completed as part of this project, even though we realize it's in a future phase. Since this phase is being done quicker, we still need that access from that future
We're gonna
phase.
show it on our plans.
And then we'll request that the access onto 100 South is a right-in, right-out only. That work for the two of you. Okay, have you got all that, Kai?
The second part, can you repeat the first part of
Okay.
the development?
That what we're approving is the drawing that was approved by the planning commission on May 25th.
Mhm.
And we're adding conditions that the access from the north end of the parking lot on lot 2 be extended.
Lot three.
Lot 3 doesn't have access to Gateway Drive.
Four.
Oh, sorry,
Four,
lot 3.
three.
I apologize. I'm looking at 2 maps and should have been looking at that one. Lot 3, I apologize. So lot 3, Ty, the north end of lot, it's actually the north end of lot
Three.
4, because 4 goes all the way to there.
No, it's in between lot 2 and 3. so
Yeah, but isn't this,
three is,
this is part of lot 4?
Oh,
Not
yeah.
this part here.
It's really.
Yeah, from the north end of lot 4, straight through lot 2 and 3.
Because lot 3 goes further north even. So the north.
The frustration part from staff side is that the phasing from the development came from the north to the south. And then the development actually is built from the south to the north, which is contrary to what the phasing plan that had been submitted, and obviously, so that's creating frustration on your part. We understand that. It's just trying to do that. No, they don't. So
So it's the north end of lot 4. East to Gateway Drive. That access. Because they are kind of funny, they're like puzzle piece lots. Instead of square lots, they're geometrically interesting. Okay, if you're okay with that, then I would accept a motion to approve it with those conditions. And the conditions on including the conditions on the staff report.
Do we need to, maybe have you try to point out, or let me just go back to where we talked when there is some changes on this plan that I just don't notice. Are they so minute that it's
Yeah, it's pretty minute.
not worth even trying to understand those changes?
What we've done is we pushed the parking lot just a little bit to the west, and we skinnied up the building just a little bit and made it work.
So you've already shifted the parking lot to the west.
Just a little bit, not a lot, just a little bit, just as much as we could. Skinnied up the building just a little bit, and made it fit to what the planning commission requested.
That's good. I'll make a motion that we approve this with the conditions that we previously talked about.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion by Rob Stately, second by Max Pierce. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
This is gonna be a very nice building, and they're gonna get plans. Yeah, a nice complex.
You can probably do some adjusting work between lots,
We're excited to see it.
the other lots, but this part to that street.
Yeah, and,
Yeah, we figured, if we get, because they're shaped so weird, if we get all three, maybe there's something we can do that would be creative and make the best use of that space. And I think what we are thinking is if we could maximize the space north of the access road we just talked about. You know, there's
Yeah.
that kind of awkward middle area, which can be parking, or I don't know if it's crazy, if it's off the books, maybe I have to go. But
No, we're still in a public meeting and live streamed on YouTube, so
For more than just that, so people, I don't know, we're kind of a creative group that would be willing to do something interesting with that.
thinking of a bridge,
conversation.
2-story, and,
You know, as long as it's within the ordinance, because if you're gonna be moving some lot lines anyway, the thing that's tricky with this is that you have to remember you're in a mixed use development, so there's certain percentages that you need to stay within. So as you keep that in mind, I think being creative and having some walkable community amenities and things like that, I think that would be a great thing. Just so long as, but remember, to do that, we'll go to the planning commission so that you can make those changes and then it will come back to us. To actually do the site plan when you get it all worked out. But I do think those are things in the future that would be, as long as they meet within the percentages in the ordinance, I think they would entertain it. So.
thank you, and you should be, well, I'll ask, solution to make these changes on their drawings. You may be getting some from Paul, Bernstein, just don't, maybe get them like with the next day or two, that's not right, we haven't fixed it yet, but I'll get them to Paul. And we'll also be getting some.
Okay. All right. That being said, we don't have anything else on our agenda, so I would unless, does anybody have any other comments? Okay, then I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
Motion by Rob Stately, or excuse me, Max Pierce, second by Rob Stately. All in favor? Aye.